Pokemon cards are not slowing down, and the small correction we saw at the end of last year seems to be fading quicker than expected. Pokemon cards are growing super quick, from Pokemon 151, Prismatic Evolutions, and even Phantasmal Flames, and will prices still continue to climb for the rest of this year? Well, that's what I'll be talking about in today's video. Though for some good news, I'm actually going to be opening some Pokemon 151 and Prismatic Evolutions and giving them away on my upcoming Whatnot stream on 25th of March, 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And I'll speak more about that stream in just a moment. But yes, Pokemon prices are continuing to grow, and I'm kind of thinking, wait, when does this end? Because legit right now, I'm being legit. I know we all say it, prices, they can't rise forever. But the way things are going, it just genuinely feels like they're just gonna grow with no end in sight. And it's like, what about 2027? What about 2028? Are there some sort of brake pedals that are going to happen? Or are all the modern booster boxes gonna reach those vintage levels? Which, a lot of this wouldn't make sense if they did, because there's so many people hoarding sealed at the moment. But the trajectory that they're rising at the moment, it's pretty crazy. I mean, just take a look at this. All right, the first one that we can see here is the Ditto from Crown Zenith, and some pretty big gains here. If we look right towards the end of the graph, we can really see that massive spike. Now, I will explain why this Ditto is going up so much in just a second. But there we go, we can see in December we're selling for $7. And right around here, selling for around, again, pretty much $6.84, $7. And then up here, $8.50. Now that's on March 2nd. Now, if we look right there, the Ditto is currently selling for $14 with a very big spike. Now you may be confused, why is this card doubled overnight? Will it continue to rise? Well, the reason for that is because Ditto is the main character in Pokemon Pokopia, which has literally blown sales worldwide. I saw in 4 days it sold 2.2 million copies. So obviously Ditto is just it's a massive Pokemon now that has a lot of spotlight. Now, a big thing when you invest in collectibles, especially with Pokemon, the more you know, or the more you're keeping up with what's happening in the games, the more you can see that reflected in the market. Obviously, because Ditto has so much spotlight in Pokemon Pokopia, you play as a human Ditto. I think now that is pulling a lot of upwards pressure on Ditto cards. Same thing here, I'm looking at the Ditto first edition from Fossil. So this is the PSA 10 copies. We can see June last year, a PSA 10 copy sold for $971, and this is the first edition, which is definitely a good price for a first edition PSA 10. So, for a vintage card, getting it for pretty much under $1,000 a holo in PSA 10, that definitely is a good purchase. But there, if we look all the way towards the end of that graph, we can see that massive spike. Again, all of this has to do with Pokemon Pokopia. And there you go, March 15, PSA 10 sold for $3,390. Obviously, Pokemon Pokopia does have a part with these Dittos, but in terms of just the general vibe for Pokemon at the moment, Pokemon cards they're getting a lot of upwards pressure, which is crazy to think about as well, because so many people are just hoarding onto their Pokemon cards right now. They're buying crazy things. You can see, as I will show you later in the video, Pokemon 151 has also caused a spike in different cards as well, which I will go through in just a second. Moving on to Squirtle from 151, we can see it was selling in June for $37. Right around in September went up to $52. So definitely a bit of a price increase from that $37, but nothing too crazy substantial. Though, as we can see right there towards the end of the graph, because Pokemon 151 has had this spike, this is now really getting felt by anyone who wants to collect their 151 singles, anyone who wants to purchase anything to do with 151, they're feeling it right now. The Squirtle went up to $136 for a raw copy, which that's crazy, right? But we can see right there at the end of that graph has had a little bit of a dip. Right now selling for 123 US. So nothing too crazy of a dip, but definitely massive growth. One thing about these things is how many of these hype cycles do they always last? What I mean by that is sometimes you will see cards get massive price spikes, but then they start reversing after a hype period. That's very common. Will that happen with 151? That is, 151's a bit more tricky than other things. Like, for example, when I saw Solosis or when I saw Dynamo all get that big market spike, even Seismitoad, I had much more confidence that they would really retrace. With 151, I'm a little less confident given how many people want to collect this set. Now, interestingly, that spike of Squirtle from 151 has actually caused the Stellar Crown Squirtle also to go up in price. So the top of the market for the Stellar Crown Squirtle was $87. I did actually pull this card myself on my channel when I was opening Stellar Crown. That was a crazy opening, by the way. And right now, the Stellar Crown Squirtle selling for $108, which is massive growth as well. There is a big pump happening for these like first stage starters. Is it? And 151 has caused that as well. Everything that was happening 151, now Stellar Crown, the Squirtle here is in high demand as well. There you go, selling for $108 for a raw copy as well, which is that's pretty high prices. Now, while speaking about these prices, as I did mention earlier in the video, I will be going live and giving away some packs of Pokemon 151 and Prismatic Evolutions on my upcoming Whatnot stream on 25th March, 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Now, today's video is sponsored by Whatnot. Now, if you've never used Whatnot before, it's a live shopping platform where you can actually bid on products all in real time. Pokemon cards are a real big part of it. And honestly, throughout my streams, we've had some massive pulls. And even when I open Pokemon 151, I have pulled the Ivysaur, Charmander, and a few Squirtles. So I'm really hoping in this stream that we actually pull something big or even a special illustration rare, because we all know how much Pokemon 151 prices are going up. So if you do really want to join that stream, I'd love to have you there. And what's really cool is you actually do get a $15 credit if you are a first-time user and you sign up using my link. You can get that $15 credit by signing up using my link in the description, or you can just scan the QR code appearing on screen. I can't wait to see you on the upcoming stream. A big thank you to Whatnot for continuously supporting the channel. Now let's jump back into this video. When we move on to the Bulbasaur from 151, it was selling in September for a market high. Well, before this new market high, it was selling for $51. Then it cruised down to around $35, which is okay. Look, if you wanted it for your master set, you could justify that. Right now, it's getting harder though, because if we look at the Bulbasaur right now, Bulbasaur's selling for $102 US. So all these singles have just spiked up to $100. And that's really hard if you want to collect your master set. You could have got Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle all under $200 if you bought it last year. Right now, it looks like you'd be having to pay over $300 to get all these three starters in your master set. Same thing with the Bulbasaur from Stellar Crown. It was selling for $65, did drop down to around $56, and we can see that big spike now as well, selling for $85. So the Bulbasaur is actually a little bit less expensive than the Squirtle from Stellar Crown, though Stellar Crown may be having a bit of a sleeper set moment right now. Interestingly, the special illustration rares of Stellar Crown, they're not too crazy, right? My favorite SIR from Stellar Crown is the Terrapagos, really cool card. But again, the general market doesn't really care too much about those cards there. However, the illustration rares here, this Bulbasaur and this Squirtle could push Stellar Crown into a bit of a sleeper set territory. Also, moving on to the stamped Bulbasaur from the Mega Evolution era. This one was interesting because, again, a little bit overinflated when it came out for the enhanced booster boxes. Was selling for $41. Then it did drop down to around $13. And right now, the stamped promo is selling for $23 US. So it definitely has gone up in price, but it probably hasn't caught that massive hype wave like the Stellar Crown one and the Pokemon 151 Bulbasaur. But nonetheless, that one definitely could rise a lot more. This Bulbasaur, I think, has more potential in it than the Ends Reshiram. Both these are pretty much the only two stamped promos we have for modern Pokemon in recent years. And to me, right now, I do think the Bulbasaur is in a much better position to become more of the expensive card, though we will see how it goes. Now, interestingly, the Charizard from 151 was selling for $244 at the end of last year. Went up to $462 US. Right now, selling for around $450. So there is a little bit of a drop down there, but nothing too substantial. I do think this has reached a new price ceiling in the market. And now 151, there is a lot of 151 out there. Trust me, a lot of products still getting opened, but whether or not people are going to now be selling these at a discount, I think if people have the top chase of 151, they're also not going to let it go too easily as well. So that is something to consider. Now, also, I just wanted to say, if it is your first time on the channel, I want to say welcome. My name's Phil and I make content around Pokemon. If you do like this kind of content, I'd love to have you subscribe. It's always good to see new people on the channel. And moving on to one that is just absolutely mind-boggling, the 151 Ultra Premium Collection. Last year selling for around $348, which is, crazy prices already. That was so expensive. Then it went all the way up to $620. And right now, when we look at the end of that graph, we can see that it's nearly at $1,000 for one Ultra Premium Collection. Pretty much Fusion Strike, Lost Origin, they're looking like they're going to get overtaken by the 151 UPC, which is wild to see how much movement this Ultra Premium Collection has had in the market. And it's crazy because on Costco and everything, this was available, man. Trust me, this was not a set. The Ultra Premium Collection wasn't a real difficult set to get, and we can really see that spike happening now. Moving on to some more interesting ones, the Prismatic Evolutions booster bundles were selling for $56 US, Right now selling for around $75. So definitely Prismatic Evolutions has also gone up as well. This is also another set that has that same 151 energy. Maybe there will be a big kind of push, but Prismatic Evolutions has always been in demand, whereas 151, when it came out, it was actually easy to get. Prismatic Evolutions never had that luxury, so that's also something you need to remember. And just crazily, we can see the 151 bundle as well. Look, let's look at this last year, selling for $65. You could have bought this for 65 US, which a lot of people thought was expensive back then. Though right now selling for $177 for one booster bundle. These prices are huge. It is very hard to make the decision that you're gonna buy this because, yeah, I mean, the prices are substantially higher than a lot of people are comfortable paying. The only thing is, will it continue to rise? That's the only thing. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, when is Pokemon gonna have a brake pedal? If it keeps rising the way it has, they will get to insane prices, but it doesn't make sense because all those vintage booster boxes, the amount of people that kept them sealed was so so far and few in between. Whereas now it's a completely different culture. So it's just wild to think what is going to happen in a few years from now. I just don't even know. Are these all going to start dropping in price? I really don't think so at the moment. I think there is a big push for a lot of Pokemon cards at the moment. A lot of people are connected to Pokemon. A lot of different things happening in the world where people are just finding so much comfort in collecting. I just don't see it slowing down anytime soon. Super crazy times right now for the hobby because we all thought, myself included, that 2026 would be a year where things calm down up until the 30th anniversary, though that looks like it has completely shifted. There is so much momentum happening with Pokemon right now. So many more people are entering the hobby. I've never seen so many people come in like now. But you know, these prices are climbing, though when it comes to investing in collectibles, something that's really important is building a collection with the mindset that it does grow in price over time. And if you're wondering how to do that, I actually do cover that in this video on screen right here. Within this video on screen, I go into how to collect Pokemon cards in a way where they actually appreciate in price over time. Click the video that's appearing on screen and I'll see you there. Really appreciate you watching and I'll see you on the next video.